Welcome back to the Football House, presented by House Enterprise, our weekly college football show. We got a full house tonight. We got Sam Basil, Gracie Marks, Jake Zimmer, Mike Gilligan from Small States, and newcomer Clubfoot Jim hopping in on the college football train. Cole cannot join us tonight, but he sent over his picks. And it's another week, another day. How did we do last week? How did we won? We said we were going to bring some winners. Everyone had a brutal one except Gilly. Gilly was hot and loaded. Looking at the card, you can't really see it from my perspective, but we have a new first place with Cole coming in, but Gilly came in hot with a lot of winners. Crew, how are we feeling today? How are we feeling going into the week? What's new in your lives?
I'm feeling good, man. I think this is finally, a lot of people after week 2, because there's still a lot of, 50-point blowouts. People are still scheduling FCS schools to play each other or debating whether or not, college football is worth watching this season. And then this is when the tide changes. This is when we start getting more rivalry games, more interconference matchups, and honestly better bets. So I'm way more excited for this one.
Gilly, since you're on top this past week, do you have anything to say for yourself?
All I would have to say is even a blind squirrel finds a nut. It was a good week, but I don't know. As the week before was not so hot. I think I started out 6-10, so I needed to make up for it. I'm happy to be above 500, but no, it was a fun week of college football. Honestly, I'm pretty excited though. Like Sam just said, in terms of the slate gets even more fun when all of a sudden you get better and better matchups, and we're not just watching blowouts of, I don't know. I feel like there were 3 or 4 teams in a row where it was like 40-something to nothing, and it was just ugly. But as long as you're on the right betting side of that, you're kind of okay.
And it's hard to bet on, too, because it's like, do I want to take a 55-point favorite? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they can hit that, and then they will or they won't by 2 or 3 points. So.
Exactly.
Like Michigan not covering 52.5 against Hawaii a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's why, I always want to bet against UConn, but I feel like the one time I bet against UConn, they're going to decide to score some points. Not win the game, cover the 50.5.
Hey, well, now UConn's down their QB1, both running backs, and their WR1. So now might be the best time to do that.
Aren't they playing a good team this weekend too? Like a ranked team?
NC State.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't cover against Michigan, right?
No, I don't think so.
No.
See, but then Hawaii, then it's. I try to stay away with them, but I am going to have a 45-point spread this week.
It was 59-0.
Damn. That's going to be so demoralizing, too, especially for a school like UConn where it's basketball sick.
Yeah, I was watching the Michigan game. They didn't make it past their 40-yard line the entire game. The punter was out there every 3 minutes. It was insane.
Hate to kick you while you're down, Jim, but here are the stats.
Yeah, no, lay it on me.
Zion Turner, the quarterback, 4 for 16, 17 total passing yards. Leading receiver Nathan Carter, 9 yards, and he left halfway through the game. Not good. This is not good for the University of Connecticut.
First half team.
First half team, yes.
So who would like to kick off with our picks this week?
Basil wants to go. Yes.
Yeah. So I think I got some pretty close ones. I tried not to, go for the, blowouts. I tried to avoid them as much as possible. So I think this is a good card, a fun card, and hopefully it won't be too sweaty. I'll start off with my locks. My FBS lock, UNC -1.5 over Notre Dame. They got the win against Cal last week, but it was a little bit too close for comfort. UNC is just always one of those schools that I want to see do really well in football. I don't know why. I think it's just, they're a fun team, and they're good. I think they're 3-0 right now. So give me Tar Heels -1.5. My FCS lock This is kind of an interesting one because I'm picking an 0-3 win. An 0-3 team to beat another 0-3 team. This is kind of like a degenerate pick. One of those ones where you put money on and your friends kind of go like, man, like this is too much, man. Like you're watching this game at noon, and it's Albany over Central Connecticut State. Albany is 0-3, but again, I've liked so many other FCS teams so far this season. They are in the CAA, which I think this year is going to be a powerhouse conference in the FCS. And last week I saw them play against Fordham in Fordham's homecoming game. And while they did lose, that Fordham beat them by 3 points, they put up a pretty, heavy fight. They ended up losing 48-45. And I think Central Connecticut State scored maybe 20 points this entire, in 3 games so far this season. So take that one and, don't look yourself in the mirror for the rest of the day. As far as my straight up picks, I'm going Syracuse -9. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Syracuse is 3-0 this year. So
I did see this.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff. They're playing against a Virginia team that failed to put up more than 16 points at home against Old Dominion. And so this game's going to be in the Carrier Dome. I think it's going to be rocking. I think a lot of people, Syracuse is one of those teams where I think a lot of people, if they get good and they get hot, you'll see a lot of people come out of the woodwork in upstate New York rooting for Syracuse. So that'll be a very interesting one to watch. This next one is a bit of a redemption pick for me because I went so hard against them in their rivalry game in the Cy-Hawk Trophy against Iowa, and I was very wrong. And I'll take Iowa State -2.5. Their quarterback Sam Deckers is just, I think he's got a bright future in the Big 12. But first, they're gonna have to get past another up and comer in the Big 12 after being a bottom feeder in this conference in football for so long, and that's Kansas. And I'm taking the money line in their game. Again, who would have thought that Kansas football would start off 3-0? Super electric, super fun, and so I'm just going with the fun card. This week I'm like the fun mom. So that's what I got.
I like it.
Should I go into my other, or are we waiting for our rivalry game?
We can wait for rivalry.
Yeah.
Cool.
We can wait for rivalry and game of the week as well.
Yeah.
All right. Not bad. Who's up?
I can go. All right. So kind of a small card, but I like all these picks. So first play is Wake Clemson over 55. Thought that number was very low. Clemson scored 48 last year, 50 the year before. Wake has a solid offense. Sam Hartman, great. And even though I think Clemson are kind of frauds, and I think DJ is a little bit of a fraud, I do think this will be a shootout. And I think 55.5 is pretty low for these two teams. USC first half -3, going back to last week, easy money last week. I think it was -6, so easy. And
Fight on.
fight on. I'm going back to this. I think obviously Oregon State tough, but not insanely tough. And I know they're going to be on the road, which makes it slightly harder, but I think giving 3 points to the 7th ranked team in the country is a bit disrespectful. So I am taking USC first half -3. I'm not taking full spread. I think it's going to get a little bit sweaty at the end. Those Pac-12 games always do. So I'm going to take the first half spread -3. And then I'm on Iowa State -3 or 2.5, whatever it is. Love their quarterback, and Baylor is so bad defensively. They lost so many players last year, and their defense just reeks. So I'm taking Iowa State at home -2.5. And I also kind of want to add UNC on my card because Notre Dame stinks, and they were so bad last week. I should have taken Cal +12, but their offense is it's tough to watch, and I like UNC at home, so I'm going to add that to my card. And then game of the week, Tennessee easy over Florida. Anthony Richardson doesn't have a passing touchdown, and it's been 3 weeks. He has more tackles than touchdowns, which is really bad. He had the lowest completion percentage in the entire Power 5 schools. I looked it up. It's really bad. And so his Heisman campaign has just like dropped so far. Like I've never seen anything like it. And Tennessee at home going to be rocking, so I'm going with Tennessee. And yeah, those are my picks.
Gracie, like I said every week, I will ride your USC and the Trojans. I will. So
just run it back, or just running it back.
Running it back. I love the first half bets too. The first half.
Me too.
You and Gilly are the CEOs of the first half, first quarter spreads, and they hit. I think you guys are perfect record in the past 3 weeks of just the first half and the first quarter line. So I love those picks.
And then you, after it hits, you just you can just enjoy the rest of your night. You don't have to sit sweating. Like it's perfect.
Then you get to put the winnings on something else.
Right.
Gilly, you want to hop on?
Yeah, sure. I've got a rolling card here. It's a little all over the place, not gonna lie. In terms of what I've got so far, I'm actually also on USC. I'm a little sketched out by the line movement. I have them full game. I was just double checking it now because I think I saw it at -7 where it maybe opened. Then I saw it at -6. Now, at least on DraftKings, it's at -5.5. I'm a little sketched out, but I'll stick with it. I respect Oregon State, but I just think USC is too talented. I have that as well as first half, which is, I think, -3.5 at this point. I'm going with both of those. Similar mindset. I'm taking Bama first half, -25 against Vandy. Don't trust Vandy. I think they're terrible. I'm also going to take them first quarter once that line opens. It's not in my book right now. Interesting one here. I just feel like the logic is sound. I'm taking Rutgers +7.5. Now, it's not how good is the Rutgers team? I don't know. I just don't trust the Iowa offense still. And I think that Rutgers is solid enough to hang in that game there and for it to just be a real ugly game. I was on the losing end of betting Nevada +23 last week. So Iowa could screw me over 2 weeks in a row, but I'm willing to run that risk, to be honest with you. Kind of a similar mindset in terms of a dog to cover. Boston College +17.5. I respect Boston College probably more than I should. I was on the winning side of believing in FSU last week. I just think that's a lot of points against a conference rival and another team that still has good bones in Boston College. I just think they deserve more respect than 17.5, even if FSU is as good as they seem to be. Then we got the Longhorns. I'm also taking the Longhorns. I think someone else had already picked that one, so taking them -6.5 to cover there. Also, I kind of riding with some of these fun picks that Sam had in terms of Syracuse. Also, I'm taking them -9. I think is where the line is at now. I'm also taking Kansas to cover. I wish I bet them money line last week. I took them to cover, which felt silly in retrospect when you see the score. It's like, holy shit, they crushed them. So I'm taking them -7. I believe. I think that coach he's probably bound for better, bigger and better pretty soon. But while he's still at Kansas, we'll ride that out and maybe kind of thinking about a crazy futures bet on Kansas to win the Big 12. If I have a good enough week, I'll pepper a little bit on that just to have fun with it, even though it's a total long shot. Here's a weird one. Tennessee, Florida. I have the first quarter over. I think I had it at 13.5 at last check. I just think points are going to be scored. I do believe in Tennessee to win. I just don't understand how good they are. And I don't know. Florida kind of freaks me out in terms of them being hot and cold. So I just think points are going to be scored. So I do like that first quarter over. And then another kind of weird one, Temple -9 against Massachusetts, UMass, the zoo. I for some reason I'm buying into Temple this year. I think I bet on them a couple weeks ago as well. I'm in. I just think fade UMass at all costs. I'm content with that, and I'll let that ride. So that's my card as of right now. In terms of the game of the week and the rivalry games, I do need to shore up those because there are a couple that I have not made a play on yet.
Clubfoot Jim knows Temple football program is home to former St. Joe's High School in Trumbull, Connecticut, and former Bills special teams captain as recently as 2 years ago, Tyler Matakevich.
Yeah.
Won the Bronco Nagurski Award at Temple just a couple years ago.
Yeah, that
think
was.
it's free agent
I
now.
never crossed over with Tyler, but his legend was still felt pretty presently there at St. Joe's, and it's pretty cool to have him still out there and special teams captain, and a guy it seems like has a lot of respect around the league.
I like those picks, Gilly. I like those picks. I think I'm gonna ride the Bama first quarter and first half. Like I said, I'm a sucker for those, and I see a lot of overlap as well in what I got. Jimmy boy, make your debut.
Yeah, let's do it. I think with my picks, you're going to see a lot of my Connecticut bias come out, whether it's for better or for worse. For my FBS lock, I got NC State minus 38 over UConn. Not that I think NC State's going to light up the scoreboard necessarily, but I don't trust UConn to score more than a field goal. With our FCS lock, give me Yale money line over Cornell. No other sort of insightful messages here other than Yale is 25 minutes from my house. Pick one. I like USC. I like Lincoln Riley. I like Caleb Williams. They brought that Big 12 high-scoring offense over to the Pac-12, and it's kind of, shown really early on in the season. I like -7 there. Another Pac-12 game, Utah. Utah had that weird game where Anthony Richardson decided to be the best player in college football. Spoiler, he's not that anymore. I think Utah's still a very well put together team. I love their quarterback, Cam Rising. Arizona State is just in shambles at the moment with the whole Herm Edwards controversy. So give me them -14. And then Brent Venables, as head coach of Oklahoma, has been kind of, solidifying himself as a pretty good head coach. So I like them -13 over Kansas State. So are we saving the rivalry games in game of the week? Or are we
we're going to
those
save
now?
the rivalry in
We're
game
gonna
of the
save
week.
those? Cool. All right.
All right, Zim. Great job, Jim.
Good debut, Jim.
Right on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Love
I
those picks.
appreciate how
Can you tell I
honest
was
you were about
nervous,
not
or-
having to justify Yale, other than it's less than a half hour.
They
from
live.
your house.
I live close to them. Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
colors and good mascot.
I love a
That's the
bulldog.
Jim
So
way.
there we go. Yep.
Go Bulldogs, baby. And then you can have Lee Corso yelling at you, going, "Shut up, midget!"
that video. Wait, that.
Well, I've already
video-
got it clipped for basketball season when Bryant wins. Go Bulldogs!
Like the fact that it comes up once a year, but I feel like this year it's come up every 10 seconds.
I see it once every 3 days, probably.
I watch it. I watch it 5 times a day.
When did I see that?
No lie. I see it so often, and it's so funny. You have McVay laughing in the background, being like, "Lee, you can't say midget on live TV, let alone to a 5-year-old kid."
Shut up, midget. There was a game that Harvard was obviously going to win, but the kid wanted Yale to win. Go Bulldogs!
Oh shit!
Yeah. Lee
I have
Corso's
that
entering.
queued up for us whenever Bryant wins this year. It's going to be
dropping
that.
that.
Just a 2-second clip of a guy going, "Go Bulldogs."
Lee Corso's entering Lou Holtz territory, where he's just becoming too senile to be on TV.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's
That was sad to see Lou Holtz kind of
Not speak
honorably
English.
discharged from television.
He didn't speak English very much.
I would love a Lee Corso Bill Walton conversation.
I would hate it. Sounds
I would-
awful.
That would be that's some late night West Coast TV that no one's watching.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
that's something you're only watching on the East Coast if it's
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
wait for
God, past
Bill
1
Walton
a.m.
to start calling Pac-12 games again. Oh goodness, I can't wait.
it's a
All right,
tradition
I wanna
unlike
make
any
my
other.
picks instead of delaying this longer. First one will go USC again. Nothing that hasn't already been said. Really enjoyed it. Jordan Addison's putting together a real solid year. 100 receiving yards a game so far as well. I'm going to take Minnesota -3 over Michigan State. I don't think this has been said yet as well. I mean, we saw how bad Michigan State was last week. Absolutely dismal against Washington. They salvaged it at the end. Now they're not ranked anymore, and quite honestly, they deserve it. You look at Minnesota, on the other hand, I've got 149-17. They're outscoring their opponents in 3 games. The Gophers are hot, and a win like this could make them legit. They're 3-0. I think this would be a statement win for Minnesota on the road at Michigan State. So I'm buying into the Gophers here. Iowa Rutgers has already been said on one side from Gilly. I'm going to take under 34. Now, my first reaction was, holy crap, this is really low. Both these defenses, though, have been fantastic this year. They each give up less than 260 all-purpose yards per game. Top 25 defenses in the league right now. Iowa's going to have to rely on the passes, which is really bad because they only rush for 92 yards a game, 225th in the league. And Rutgers' defense, meanwhile, they only allow 32 rush yards a game, too. So I agree with Gilly's comments. It sounds like a recipe for freaking turnovers and really sloppy play if Iowa has to throw a lot of passes here. So that's why I'm taking the under. And then for locks, Michigan's playing Maryland this week, and this is another one where Maryland's got off to a pretty good start too. Michigan has a pretty sizable spread. I'm going to take Michigan here, though, to cover 17 or to beat the 17-point spread here. Maryland hasn't really played anyone, even though they're 3-0. Michigan, meanwhile, has the highest scoring offense in the league. Maryland's conceding almost 300 passing yards a game, which puts them by far in the lower bracket here. I think Michigan, we've talked about this a little bit on the show. I think they have enough in the tank to go all the way. I really do. I think they're going to have some Herculean efforts, but I don't think we should be shocked if we see them in the college football championship this year. So I think they keep their winning ways up. FCS, North Dakota State over South Dakota here. NDSU has some really good wins. They're outscoring FCS opponents 99-17 this year. One loss came last week, and it was to Arizona, only by 3 points, too. I think North Dakota State is a contender again to win the title. How about this? You want dominance? This would be the 10th time in 12 years they win the FCS title. So give me North Dakota State here. I think this is an easy win for them.
Home of Carson Wentz.
Yes, it was. Well, I always forget because there's a North Dakota State, a South Dakota, and a South Dakota State. I think, he was an NDSU guy.
Home of Carson Wentz.
Home of Trey Lance.
Was it?
That's kind of wild.
Trey Lance, yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, all right.
T's and P's to Trey Lance.
Yeah, he won the Walter Payton Award. It's crazy.
Okay. I'll read off Cole's picks first as we figure out this stream. So Cole, did I not add him? Oh, 1 sec. I'll start with mine and then add Cole's because I didn't have his up on the slide. So I got my first one is Georgia -45, which I've said I don't like the big spreads, but I just cannot see Kent State scoring any points. They scored only 3 points against Oklahoma, and Georgia, I think, is a much better team than Oklahoma. And they've only allowed 10 points in the past 3 games. So I am hammering Georgia -45 on this one. My second pick, it's Kansas -7.5. They're for the first time in 13 years, they're favorite over a Power 5. And they're 3-0 against the spread this year. So I like this pick a lot in Kansas -7.5. I'm also riding with Gracie on Clemson Wake Forest over 46. Both teams are averaging 41 points a game, and both are allowing at least 20 points. This is a big ACC game, big matchup, 2 ranked teams as well. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair from both sides. So I'll take the over. And I also Notre Dame UNC under 55.5. It's going to be a defensive battle for the Fighting Irish, but their offense can't do shit. They are not scoring points. They're not doing well. I even like UNC money line, to be honest. I'll probably add that to my card and play it. But Notre Dame just is not doing it for me whatsoever. And then my 2 locks for FBS, always riding with USC. I have them at -7. If I can get them even lower, as Gilly was saying, I'll probably still take them. I also am going to point out though, with like they pieced together Fresno State last week, where Oregon State only squeezed out a win by 35-32. So I like the touchdown favorite. And then my FCS locks, Bryant is due for a win. There is no way in hell they go 0-4. It's against LIU. I believe in this team. I believe in this program. Proud alumnus. We're going to take the Bryant money line. And I'm rocking with Fordham for Sam Basil, the buzz boy over here.
Let's go Rams!
Fordham money line over Ohio. I'll probably take the spread too. Fordham 3-0. What a squad. What a team. Let's make it 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if Fordham, so I mean, you know, people kind of care about the football team at Fordham. You know, I wouldn't really say it's like the hottest ticket on campus. But if Fordham beats an FBS team, I think it'd be absolutely electric. I mean, it is Ohio, so it's not like, you know, it's not like the craziest matchup. But I mean, Fordham has a history of getting smoked by FBS teams. I think Army beat us like 70, like they dropped like something in the 60s, and they didn't pass the ball once. My sophomore year at Fordham, so that was pretty crazy. But yeah, no, this is a fun team to watch, and I'm really excited. So you're a braver man than I, going for that pick.
Gotta back the squad, gotta back the crew.
Yeah.
So for Cole's picks, he has USC -7. He got TCU -2 over SMU. He's got Washington -13.5 over Stanford. His FCS lock is your Bryant Bulldogs over LIU. And his FBS lock is Coastal Carolina -2 over Georgia State.
How many Bryant football bets have we had in week 4 already? At least 5.
It's the dogs. You got to believe in the dogs. All right.
I think they're due. LIU, weird fact. CJ Beathard's brother, Clay Beathard.
RIP.
Quarterback. He was the second to last quarterback for LIU. And he freak accident. He died in 2020. Just a little fun fact. Not really.
Bring the stream down. Why don't?
What do you mean fun? What do you mean fun?
Yeah, I said it's not really so fun, but now LIU has been awful lately.
Okay.
All right. Well, now to bring the vibes
Move
back
on
up.
from that.
Sorry.
We're gonna do game of the week, which is Tennessee and Florida. You know, we had a couple folks already talk about their plays and picks for that. I'll kick things off, and I'm going to take Tennessee money line. It's going to be rowdy down in Knoxville. However, though, I do think Florida keeps it close, and I'm going to take Florida plus 10.5. Their defense, you know, their offense has been skeptical. We've seen in the games past, but I think their defense will keep it close. I like the 10.5 on that, but I am taking the money line.
Yeah, I see everybody, their friends, their family on Tennessee, which makes me a little bit nervous. Like every single person I've talked to is on Tennessee. So that's my game of the week, just Tennessee money line. But I'm just staying away from the spread because everybody I see is on Tennessee minus 10.5. And I'm like, I can't commit to that when I see everybody on it.
Yeah. Who else? I see a lot of people riding Tennessee though in this chat.
I also did a Tennessee money line. I think I'm just less confidence in Tennessee and more just me outwardly being now an official Anthony Richardson hater. So I'm just gonna ride the balls. I don't know if it feels like 1996, but it's feeling like somewhere close to that. So give me Tennessee money line.
Somewhere close to 96.
I think it was 99, wasn't it?
Was it 99? I thought it was 96. I don't know, whatever the year was. I was either not alive or 1 year old.
Yeah.
Rocky Top, baby. Rocky Top.
I'm riding Tennessee, and I think they'll cover. I'm going to go money line though. I just love the way Tennessee's been playing. Right, they had a quality win over Pitt, which I think was a pretty big statement at the time as well. I think, what are they ranked now? Is it 11? Yeah, they're ranked 11 coming into this matchup. We loved Florida week 1. I think you saw what they did last week after losing, though, and they went toe-to-toe with South Florida. So feels like Tennessee has all the momentum. I don't think Florida really stands a chance here. I think the Vols are going to have a field day against what a porous rush defense is in Florida. Sounds like Rocky Top is going to be the place that the Gators go to die in week 4.
Yeah, Jake, I'm glad you brought up the defense because I don't want to just keep railing on Anthony Richardson here. And I think that's going to be honestly a bigger difference maker in this game. I've got Tennessee money line and the points. Something that I think we saw against the game against Kentucky is that the Florida defense just cannot hold firm on third downs. They just really let their opponents just elongate drives, run down the clock. And it's gonna be a big problem for Florida to have time to put some points on the board, and so that's why I've got Tennessee kind of taking this one, not blowing them out, but taking it pretty decisively.
That's our game of the week. Let's swing it over to the rivalry. Basil, what's your rivalry bowl, and what do we got going on this week?
Yeah, so this week's rivalry, the biggest one, is my favorite type of rivalry. An interstate rivalry. And, what better state to have an interstate rivalry than the biggest, probably, football state in the country, Texas versus Texas Tech. And, this rivalry has been going on for over 100 years. Their first meeting, not over 100 years, almost 100 years. They first met in 1928, but they've only had a trophy since 1996. And that trophy are the Chancellor's Spurs, and that's where this rivalry gets the name from. The battle for the Chancellor's Spurs, and that's a pair of these tricked out Spurs that were commissioned by the chancellors of each school for the Texas public university system, and I don't think they've ever been worn, but they're pretty sick, and I think if they haven't been, that's kind of disappointing because, I know a lot of us are Northeast concentrated, but when you go to something that's a bit more Southern focused, like a rodeo or a PBR event, like you're kind of surprised to see how much cowboy attire is worn in the office. So hopefully, maybe in the future, we'll see the Spurs get worn. Something really interesting about this rivalry that I recently that I think could play a huge factor, considering that this year's game is in Lubbock, home of Texas Tech, is that Texas Tech overall, have been dominated in this series by the Longhorns. They have had huge problems defending their home turf. They have not won a game at home in this series since 2008. So that'll be a big factor to play. But especially considering how good of a Texas team is coming into this series. So for me, my pick, I'm going to be taking Texas minus 6.5.
I'm right there with you, Basil. Texas has won the last 4 matchups by at least 7 points. Last year, they won by 35. I think there was too many mistakes with this Texas Tech team against Houston and NC State, despite, what Texas is going through and not having Ewers on. I still like Texas minus 6.5 back in the Longhorns on this 100%.
I'm going to, so I originally picked Texas minus 6.5. I'm going to throw it the other way. I'm going to say Texas Tech covers here. And I'm looking through, originally I was like, yep, I'm all in on Texas. I'm just looking through the stats and whatnot. Texas Tech has a sizable edge in a lot of different categories here. Total yards a game is there's an 80-yard difference. Passing yards, there's almost a 150-yard difference. Defensively, Texas Tech has been a lot better than Texas has been these first couple of weeks here. 62nd in the nation in total yards as opposed to Texas 111. I understand that we're in week 3, right? A lot of opponents are sort of, there's a lot of variations. You can play a really solid schedule, or you can play a schedule that's mid, or you just play FCS opponents all the time too. You know what? I don't know. I think the tides have shifted in other sports for Texas Tech over Texas now. Let's bring it to freaking college football, right? Texas Tech, they had in basketball, people forget how badly they were wronged last year. Chris Beard, coach of Texas Tech, packs his shit up and goes to Austin. And what does Texas Tech do? They beat him twice. 2 times last year. They knocked him off. I'm going to pretend that those have a correlation and take Texas Tech to at least cover here.
Zim, I look at those offensive stats you threw out there, and I'm wondering just how skewed they are because of the air raid offense.
And how Texas played Bama in one of those said 3 games.
And Texas played Bama in one of those games. So
they did. I think that's a big qualifier, right? It's hard for me to not let the numbers play a little bit of a role here.
Fair enough. All right. But also, I'm going to say that it completely invalidates your argument, and Texas is going to win this game. I'm all in on Sark. I'm all in on the whole Texas is back bandwagon. I think the more I'm on the show, you're going to realize that I'm going to make these picks based off of more of a gut feeling than anything. And my gut is that Texas is back. I'm still extremely perturbed about Quinn Ewers going down in that game. That was so disappointing to see. It was, for a quarter, it was magic. It was magic in Austin. But yeah, no, I'm riding Texas -6.5.
Yeah, I'm doing the same, and I'm also going to take the over of 59.5. I kind of I might feel better about that, to be honest. Then I think Texas will win. The juice isn't worth it in terms of money line for me, so that's where I think they should cover. But the over of 59.5 is real tasty to me. They scored over 100 points last year in this matchup, and I know I think both teams brought back enough talent where it's not like it's a complete overhaul. But these are some high-scoring games in the last few years. I think you'd have to go back as far as 2017, 5 years, where the over would not hit. Obviously, a lot has changed since then, but still. So I like that. I think that the ball will be flying, so slam the over there.
We're back on Texas. Tides have turned. We're liking it. We're riding with it. Are we doing the Texas A&M one as well, Basil?
Yeah, we could. It's a named rivalry, so I think it's worth going in the trophy case. This one, actually, this is the one I was confusing. I was talking about. This is the one that is over 100 years old, 119 years old to be specific. First played in 1903, and that's the Southwest Classic between Texas A&M and Arkansas. Not an interstate rivalry, but it is an interstate rivalry, but not within one state. It's an inter-conference rivalry, so super fun. Arkansas, I think in years past, Texas A&M has really kind of taken control of this series. They've just been a much better program in the past decade or so. But Arkansas actually leads this one 42-33 overall with 3 ties. And right now, Arkansas is coming in as a much better team this season. They're pushing their way up the top 25. And, an interesting factor for this one is that in the past, 20 years or so, most of these games, including the 2022 edition, have been played at AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. So neutral site game, something that'll be, probably play an interesting factor in this one. And for this, I have got Arkansas money line. It's a really close spread. So I think, just to play it safe, I would take just Arkansas to win straight up.
Yeah, I don't have a play for this, but I will say that Jimbo's a total fraud. And last week when I had Miami +6.5 and Texas A&M covered, it was so frustrating because it was like 2 trash bags going at it in a game where Miami easily could have covered. Like they were handing Miami, like, please cover the 6.5. Like, I'm begging you. They couldn't do it. Texas A&M is really bad, and Jimbo is a fraud, and he's going to be on his way out, I'm guessing, by the end of the year. So I don't have and I actually like KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas quarterback. I don't have a play. I just wanted to put it out there that he's a total fraud, and they're on my hate list right now because it was just so frustrating last week watching them versus Miami. As a Miami 6.5 better, it was brutal.
I'm really liking Arkansas And, I had it at +2. Honestly, that half point, that now it's at 1.5, it makes me just reconsider and say, let's take this money line here. Their offense has been great. They rush the ball really well, and that's pretty scary against a team like Texas Tech, who doesn't really play great defense against the rush in their first couple of games. I think Arkansas has got the number here, and I think Arkansas is going to win flat out at AT&T Stadium.
I'm riding with Tamu. I'm riding with Texas A&M. I'm going to take the spread. They're 9-1 in the last 10 against Arkansas. I'm taking them, and I'm also taking the under at 49 because the under for Texas A&M is 5-2 in the last 7. I think this is a must-win for Texas A&MU and their expectations this year. Some folks had them in the top 5, and they're not taking lightly of it. Obviously, Arkansas has played very, very well, but being in Dallas in the AT&T and Jerry World, I think Max Johnson is going to have a game. He proved himself well last week against Miami. I think this, because it's a must-win in their expectations, they have to prove something.
Yeah, Will kind of took the words right out of my mouth there. Texas A&M cannot afford to lose this game, especially sort of going off of what Gracie said in the sort of the perception now, Jimbo Fisher, that he is a fraud. And, they keep bringing in these pretty unreal recruiting classes and just don't do anything with it, don't compete in the SEC. It's just, if A&M loses this game, there's going to be turnover in the program. Whether immediate or by the end of the season, it's going to be something has to change. So this can't be a game that they lose. So I'm also taking Texas A&M. I forget if it was money line or if I took spread, but.
And I think I'm up. I'm just going with the under in this game. I just think that I don't really trust A&M to score, to be perfectly honest with you. I think they're capable of winning this. I do think the best value, in my opinion, is Arkansas money line. I just don't have the guts to go with it because like you guys just said, just kind of echo that. If A&M loses, it's regime change time. So when your back's against the wall, that's when some teams show up. But yeah, the under of 49 or 48.5 is what I've got here.
That's it. Those are our picks. I mean, just looking at some of the big games that we really didn't touch upon. Penn State over Central Michigan, that should be no problem for them in my eyes, I would say. The Michigan-Maryland game, surprised Michigan's only a 17-point favorite against Maryland. Something to watch. Pittsburgh against University of Rhode Island. Curious to see what the spread is there. Pittsburgh has been a little treat this past couple weeks, so curious to see what they do against the roadie Rams.
I have tickets for that game. I'm not going, but I have my girlfriend is a season ticket holder at Pitt, and we thought it would be funny because I would imagine just being the one Rhode Island person in the crowd. Or Acrisure. So
just start chanting like "Rody, Rody, Rody, Rams!"
Yeah,
Rams. Everybody will look at you and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Exactly.
You should get SSBT on the scene down there. See, like interview any roadie fans that came over.
That would be cool. No, I know I had plans, but at the same time, Pittsburgh's a long way from Philly, so I backed out last minute like a coward. I'm not a big roadie football fan. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
We'll wait till basketball season.
Yeah,
exactly. It is 1-2 against the spread this year, so
don't tempt me.
Don't tempt us. The one game that I'm surprised, Ohio State and Wisconsin -19. I really don't know. I mean, I want to confidently say that Ohio State covers that spread, but I'm kind of staying away from Ohio State's spread. And, even though they had that great game against Notre Dame week 1, but according to Gracie and all of us, Notre Dame is fraudulent. I don't know what I think Wisconsin can come up big here and at least cover.
Yeah. 3 scores is tough, man, against a conference rival like that. Like that's like the perfect line to get me scared away from it. Cause I was thinking I was going to pick Ohio State. And then I was like, wait a second, let's be real here. I don't know. 19 that's pretty thick. I don't know. I'm not into it. They'll probably win by 30, so it won't matter. But it's just
Well, that's our show. Another week in the books. Let's sage the room, sage the Zoom, figure out how to get back to some winning ways. Start tailing Gilly because he had a hell of a week, and hopefully Clubfoot Jim brings some magic to the crew.
I think Basil's got
appreciate
one
you guys
more
having me
too.
on.
Oh, Basil, what do you got?
Oh yeah, so this isn't really a pick; it's more of a word of caution to any college football hype beast bettors. I would stay as far away as possible from the App State James Madison spread. I think Appalachian State, is like the fun team this year, as they should be. I mean, the performances they put on so far this season have been crazy, and they're entering this week as a 7-point favorite against James Madison, another Sun Belt team. James Madison has allowed 14 points so far this season on defense, and they've beaten MTSU, Middle Tennessee 44-7, and Norfolk State 63-7. Obviously, that's not like tough competition, but I just feel like that has bad beat written all over it. And one more thing, actually, Gracie, you were talking about Anthony Richardson being a Heisman drop-off. If I could mention, my take for the biggest Heisman drop-off that I've seen in recent years, it was UNC's Sam Howell. He entered 2021 the 6th overall favorite to win the Heisman Trophy last year, threw 3 picks in week 1 against Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech, and completely dropped off the face of the earth. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And now he's playing backup for the Washington Commanders. So I guess it doesn't, it's not all bad. But
He
yeah,
just
He might even be third string.
yeah, he's somewhere on there, but I really didn't know until I looked it up. But yeah. that was a big drop off that I can't remember I've seen in a while.
on that note.
Oh, yeah,
just
he's
real
behind
quick.
Taylor Heineke.
Oh yeah, true. Heineke's got to be number 2.
Yeah.
Are there any Heisman value plays that you guys like in terms of like, all right, I think Stetson Bennett is one that I've heard around where it's like, ooh, good value. You could see that happening. Obviously, he's not a favorite, but he's in the mix. Could be a contender that sneaks in if Stroud or Caleb Williams or Bryce Young kind of gets hurt or screws up.
I've actually got one at this point right now. Extreme value play, like I'm talking maybe a half a unit, would be a guy like Jordan Addison at USC.
Yeah.
Plus 5,000, which I mean, if hey, he has a couple of more breakout games when competition in Pac-12 starts getting better. This could be a guy you look at if a few quarterbacks start to slip down. Like, I don't know, it could be a long shot value play if you combine it with like something like a CJ Stroud or something like that.
I mean, Stetson Bennett at plus 1,200 is looking me right dead in the eyes right now.
It's pretty damn good. Yeah.
Also, I wish I could, but I might just for shits and gigs. Spencer Rattler at plus 8,000.
No way. That
Oh,
dude
God,
is so
no.
bad.
What's plus 8,000 on like a 10? On
He
a
is
$5,
so
$10 bet?
bad. Like, he is unbelievably bad. Like, it was tough. I know it's Georgia, but geez, he is so bad.
Out of principle, you can't make that bet.
Bo Nix
So
is plus
that would
$20,000.
$5 would get you 400.
Bo Nix is plus 20,000.
Should be higher.
That's crazy.
Bo Nix is awful.
I like Jordan Addison. I think I'm going to pepper on that because he has a respect to the voters too, wasn't he? I think he was voted receiver of the year last year at Pitt. So it's like, I don't know. That's enough of a trajectory for a non-quarterback to win it.
What's anybody know Braylon Allen's odds? Running back out of Wisconsin.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's plus 5,000, like pretty much tied with Anthony Richardson and Quinn Ewers.
All right.
I'm a lot after you mentioned Anthony Richardson. I'm a
sprinkle that in.
lot less confident in Jordan Addison now. If they're at the same odds, and Anthony Richardson's right there, I'm all set.
I tell you what, I think Anthony Richardson is just hurt. That's my scalding hot take for you guys. I think there's something wrong where I think I don't know. I think he's just one dimensional now, which kind of sucks. So hopefully he at least is healthy enough to make a difference. But
We're talking
Oh,
about
Cousins
Spencer
changed
Rattler
those.
and Bo Nix. Did you guys see the meme? It's like the quarterbacks embracing. It's like Spencer Rattler versus Bo Nix in the USFL next season.
Yeah, so funny. So funny.
It's having a
I love
warm
that.
embrace. It's like
Yeah, the number 1 and 2 picks in the XFL draft, and
that's where they'll
whatever
both
that
be.
is. Yeah.
Bo
Spencer
Nix,
Rattler
though,
will be making like a bag over there, but
yeah. Bo Nix, though, he's been better. Spencer Rattler is just like trash. Like,
He's gotten
might be
progressively worse.
objectively trash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet, I mean,
Whoa.
Oregon's still ranked.
Yeah, true. Oregon, I feel like what we said week 1, a lot of it was true. It's like Oregon is still, I think it was Basil that said, like, Oregon is still probably good. And
Yeah, I mean, look what they did to BYU last week, right? Like,
yeah,
Sure.
hey, you know what? They spent that $1 million well. I was really worried about them.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I was riding BYU like crazy. Now I'm like questioning them playing against Wyoming.
they'll be fine too. BYU's good. They're a good football team.
I feel like there was a clause in that contract too. After it like broke out that like they were getting paid $1 million, they're like, all right, we're gonna double it if you actually lose this game. Because that was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Basil, let us know if you find any more buy games and drop them in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do some research. I'll do some research on some potential wasted money.
Yeah. All right, crew. Well, that is our show. Tune in on the Twitter. Bet the Houses will be streaming all of the picks throughout the week. And of course, House Enterprise on all the channels. We got Gilly, Sam Basil, Gracie Marks, Clubfoot Jim, Jake Zimmer, and myself, Will Tondo. We will catch you next week. And thank you as always.